crazy just being a week away, almost a week away from Thanksgiving, Tom. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
middle
more
of
people coming
November.
in less than a week, and then a couple days after, more people. We're gonna have a full house here in less than a week for Thanksgiving.
A full house for the holiday season. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. The Broncos have won 3 games straight. What? All
Can't ask for a
primetime
better
games? I
Thanksgiving.
mean, talk about bumping in and rolling into the holidays, rather. What is up, Broncos country? I am Luke Patterson. He is Thomas Hall. Scott on the ones and twos. We can't thank you enough for joining MHI tonight, where you can catch us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain. And Tom, holy cow, how are we feeling? I feel like it's a night and day difference in Broncos country. They're 1 game away from 500. They've got some red hot momentum. They upset the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football and stunned the NFL.
Yeah. Look, I was ready to tear it all down back in week 3 and say, okay, this rebuild needs to happen, because I looked at the roster and there was a bunch of players who didn't know how to win. And I was like, this has been this long. They haven't learned how to win. Maybe it's time to bring in some new blood. But after these last 2 games, I have changed my mind on that. I think we've got winners. I think we've got some winners. They're learning how to win. Sean Payton is teaching them, and others that have come in, that have won, they're learning how to win. And to win in Buffalo on Monday Night Football, a desperate Buffalo Bills team,
it's a big one.
That was I know it was ugly, and I know the offense, it wasn't an offensive explosion, even with all those turnovers. That's still a huge win. It's a huge win to go into Buffalo and win. I mean, it really is. So I said, it might have been this show, I said, if they can beat the Chiefs and find a way to go into Buffalo and win, they're going to pretty much run the table and go to the playoffs. So I got to stick by it. Even though I'm still like, I don't know what this team is, but you got to stick by it.
So what's funny when you talk about sticking by it, right? I'm a creature of habit, so I use sticky notes every day, lists. You should see my desk. It's littered with them. Well, I wrote down, I said on September 6th, 2023, here on MHI, prior to week 1, the Broncos would go 10-7. This has been hanging out on the desk. I think I'm going to put it at the front of the desk now, right? You're telling me there's a chance, not to go too dumb and dumber on you, but that's exactly right. It's optimism that's renewed. And speaking of optimism, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out Dylan Von Arks' latest article. It's killing it all over the web, rather. And his article features NFL.com issuing an apology, Tom, to defensive coordinator Vance Joseph, as the Broncos have climbed from the pit of the power rankings and are on their way up. Again, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out Dylan's latest article. Appreciate all your support and what you do for us, bro. Dylan's always grinding, man. I always love those weekly ranking power articles, Tom, and I've loved them the last 3 weeks. Obviously, the Broncos have won. Josh Allen, that's a big one. Pat Mahomes, that's a big one. It started with you and I there. Is this a you and I thing, an MHH thing? Because it was the MHH meet and greet against the Green Bay Packers where the Broncos started this 3-week streak. Man, I'm here for it. Life is so much sweeter when the Broncos are winning football games, and I don't care how they do it, Tom. I don't care if they're stealing games. I don't care if we're talking about pine tar versus scabs. I don't care about any of that, because you can't take that win away from them. What's done is done, Dad, just like in Step Brothers, right? I mean, what's done is done. Yeah. On to Minnesota. You never apologize for a win.
Yeah, and if you really are miserable about the Broncos winning as a Broncos fan, get some help, man, because you got to enjoy it. It has been a long time. I mean, it's been a long time since they beat the Chiefs. It's been a long time since they beat the Bills. 2 good teams. It's been a long time since they won on Monday Night Football. I mean, if the Broncos, you got to just embrace it when you can. I mean, they may fall back to who they were and, not be that great and end up limping to, 7-10 or whatever it may be. But right now you got to embrace it and have some fun, because we have not been able to have fun in Broncos country for a long time. And now it's time to have fun, watch them win. And I'm going to tell you, there are winnable games left. Whether they win them or not, I don't know. But there are plenty of winnable games left. Just look at the quarterbacks that they're going to be facing now. Cleveland Browns, that's uncertain. The Kirk Cousin hurt. Sometimes it just falls into place, right? Like things happen, and then next thing you know, they get 5-6 wins in a row.
It truly is a league of parity, Tom. I mean, I think that's why we as football fans absolutely love the NFL and we're so drawn to the NFL. And I feel like that's one thing that the NFL offers that other professional sports necessarily don't have. And that is parity. I mean, do you think the Minnesota Vikings, the hottest team in professional football, amid a 5-game winning streak right now, saw the Josh Dobbs thing coming? You don't think the Cleveland Browns wish they would have kept Josh Dobbs around in the wake of Deshaun Watson going on season-ending injury today? I mean, these are things, you're exactly right, that we don't necessarily foresee. Sometimes fate happens the way it should. But no, you don't apologize for a win. You don't take that as a miserable sign. And a little peek behind the curtain, we have like our little group chat and Slack app here at MHH, and we talk during the games and we razz each other and everything else. And I was quick to say, better lucky than good in the Slack. Right. And I meant it. I meant it. I truly meant it. I don't care how they won. They won. Now, that doesn't mean that they are without criticism. That doesn't mean that they can't improve. That doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to fire our shots on how this football team needs to improve. They got the win, Tom. That's all that matters. They're coming home. You talked about it. Winning in primetime with the Denver Broncos hasn't happened a lot lately. That was the first road game, primetime game, away that the Broncos won since 2020. I mean, the last time they had the 3 consecutive games was way back in 2021. Doesn't seem like that long ago, but how many games is that? 36, 45 games? I mean, that's a long time of losing, Tom. This has not happened for a long time, Broncos country. It's cool to see orange out there still for 3 weeks now. We rolled some orange in from the end of October into November. I want to see orange in December. I want people shopping for Broncos gifts because that means this team is relevant and they continue to win games.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it, man. Got Michael Runquillo. Thanks for checking in and the support as always with Facebook stars. Michael, thank you. Saying good evening, Luke and Thomas on Mile High Insiders. Go Broncos. Thanks for being here, Michael. Really appreciate it.
Mike? A little Mike and Mike action here, that's man. Right. From Michael Runquillo to Mike Edel, $5 super. Appreciate you. The mics. I absolutely love it. Hey, Luke and Thomas, I am absolutely fired up from the winning streak. I live in Minnesota. Paul Allen doing a lot of chattering about the Vikings winning in Denver. Well, I'm sure there is a ton of optimism for the Vikings right now, just like there is the Broncos, rather. And, you know, they're kind of similar. They're similar in a lot of ways. They're unproven. They're winning. They're upsetting teams. They're shocking the giants of the NFL, if you will. They're surviving. They're escaping. They're stealing wins. Whatever I got to say, this is a dangerous Minnesota team coming in, and we can't just assume as Broncos fans, oh, it's a home game. Denver, we got this. Josh Dobbs, we got this. Josh Dobbs playing pretty good football right now, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, you have to expect that he'll like kind of come back down from there at some point. I don't know, but you know, it is a different story with him or Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins was a statistically great football player. You know, he's throwing a lot of yards and getting touchdowns and stuff. So it's hard to understand how they could keep it rolling just, from switching from Cousins to Dobbs. But, I think the Broncos have a shot at it. And if they play like they did the last 2 weeks, they do. I mean, they have a shot at it, especially if they play, all 3 phases. I mean, the special teams are doing their part, defense is doing their part, offense off and on. But, if they can play like they have, and kick that offense up a notch, they can win plenty of these games. And starting with Minnesota, I mean, I get it. Minnesota's hot. Broncos are hot too. It's going to be one of those games where you don't know who's going to come out victorious, but the Broncos have every shot at winning this game. That more so than they had 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I would be like, yeah, probably another loss. But at this point, you gotta start to favor the Broncos here.
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting topic of discussion. We will get into that later in the show. We'll talk picks or maybe foreshadow what we think is going to happen. It's a little early in the week for picks, right? It feels like we just got done with Buffalo. I know. It's on to the next one, as Bill Belichick would say. Speaking of Belichick, did you see that video of him, the ring video of Bill Belichick and the walk of shame? Oh, man, get on X, get on social media, YouTube, whatever you do. You want to waste like 10 minutes of your life, go down that wormhole. You'll love it. All right. We appreciate you guys rocking with us on MHI every 6 p.m. or every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain, rather. Your support means the world to us. Mike and Mike just came in firing hot. And speaking of hot, got to give our friends over at Little Caesars some love. Hot and ready pizza, guys. Sunday Night Football's coming up. Make sure Little Caesars has your back. Make Little Caesars the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, part of your game day. Tom, I've got my girls heading out to go see some family this week. I'm going to be working, writing about the game. I think I'm going to order up some Little Caesars, man. Hot, fresh, ready. I can order online. And if you order online during our Pizza pregame, 1 hour before and 3 hours after, get some football, get some fun, get some pizza, have a good time. I don't know about you, Tom, but what do you like on your pizza? I'm a pepperoni guy, sausage guy. I like to keep it classic. Wife likes to throw veggies on there. I don't know.
Well, I love the meat lovers, man. More meat on it, the better. But I mean, you can choose. That's the thing. You can choose your favorite Little Caesars pizza or the toppings that you really crave, man. Either way, it's a winner. You're going to win. And speaking of winning, everyone scores with convenient delivery or in-store pizza portal pickup, right? Grab some friends, grab some slices, and enjoy during the game, man. Little Caesars.
Good. Boom. This is a third primetime game. Make sure you grab some Little Caesars. Again, guys, order that online during the Pizza pregame, 1 hour before, 3 hours after NFL kickoffs, plus all day Sunday. Get ready for football and fun. Guys, we are rocking and rolling. We're reacting to some Bills leftovers on Monday Night Football. We're talking a little bit about the Vikings on Sunday Night Football this coming week, but there was some big news that landed today. The Denver Broncos, man. I don't know if you saw this, Tom. Marvin Mims, AFC Player of the Week, rookie extraordinaire Marvin Mims. How important was Marvin Mims in the overall win against the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football? Because this rookie, he's hot. He's really hot right now. He's one of the staples of this team. Sean Payton said he was going to be involved one way or the other. Certainly made his presence known on special teams.
Well, I wrote him up on my, the stars of the game. He was huge. I don't know if the Broncos could have won without Mims giving them the field position he did. Incredible. In fact, I don't remember the entire stat, but his punt return average on the year so far is the best of anybody since going back to like 1957 or something like that. It's crazy. It's wow. Incredible. The job that he's doing makes you wonder why he's not doing it on offense, but that's a different story. But man, he deserved it. That was great field position. And you could have been taken down right around the 15, maybe in one of those and end up getting.
Do you want to know? I'll tell you why. He's not being used on offense. It's because they didn't trade Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, the best play he had all game was getting that PI. I mean, 3 catches for 35 yards. 19 was the long. It was a big first down. I'll give him that. But I mean, Jerry Jeudy's still being underutilized. I still wish they would have traded him. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I know, but look, they're winning games right now. I just don't know how long term Jerry Jeudy is with the Denver Broncos. Like, are we just gonna figure things out? Are we gonna sprinkle the ball in occasionally to him? Are we gonna get to a point where he's disgruntled? He's not getting enough touches. Do I have to watch Twitter every week? I mean. Look, winning football is winning football, but I definitely feel like Marvin Mims has outplayed Jerry Jeudy, and he deserves to get those reps.
Well, you're going to see more passing attack as the year goes on. I've said it before. One, you're going to see Russell Wilson, Sean Payton getting a little bit better with the offense going together, but they're going to face some defenses that are susceptible to the pass a lot more so than some of these other teams that they've faced. And I think you're going to see a little bit more spreading around of the ball. You're going to see a little bit more yardage, a little more catches going on. I mean, think about it. They've still got the Chargers twice, right? So the Chargers, not a great pass defense. They can light them up. Even the Vikings, really. I mean, they could go in and have a pretty good passing day. It just depends on, the game plan and whatnot. I mean, really the game plan against the Bills was to try and run it. And the Bills knew it. They loaded up the box, it seemed like, on every play, knowing that it was going to be a run. So they struggled to get that offense rolling, but I don't think they're going to have trouble going forward as much with the opponents they have on the schedule going down the road. So you're going to see Jerry Jeudy get more catches. You're going to see him get more yards. And you might see Mims get involved a little more.
You gotta have it. I mean, the running backs have been catching a lot of passes too. Something I wrote about in an article coming out a little later this week. Mike guest coming in here. How about that catch from Cortland Sutton on Monday night? How about it, Mike? Tom, Scott, we're all super, super loving that catch, man. I'm rewinding it. I'm watching it over over and over, the most improbable completion of the next gen stats era. What was it, like a 3% chance or something like that, Tom? I mean, on first glance, I didn't think he made it on first glance. I'm like, nope, no way. And then obviously, thank goodness for that little thing they call replay.
Yeah, it was a beautiful catch. In fact, I think Cortland Sutton has two of the best touchdown catches of the season so far. Both of them, but that one was
Miami.
Man, that was amazing. His body control, I think it was, what did they say? It was like over a yard and a half, maybe out of bounds, and he still kept his feet in when he caught that ball. It was crazy. I was very impressed. As soon as I saw that replay, I was like, that's in.
And it was great, right? And the Broncos won, so yay, Cortland. Fumbling, man. How about that fumble? It was eerily similar of that Miami game, right, where he had that great touchdown, and then he's always reaching out. And I love it about Court. He's always reaching out, trying to get the first. But man, ball control, baby. We gotta have it. You're a team captain. That's definitely something that the Broncos have to clean up. Turnovers were the name of the game, right? Yep. For the Buffalo Bills. That's going around there a lot too, right? The Bills just gave the game to the Broncos. That was a close game all the way through. I mean, it was just one of those games where it was a grinded out, not necessarily a high scoring, potent attack on any offense. 4 turnovers. The Broncos defense were ultimately able to take away only 6 points. And then Scott pointed this out to me before the game or the show. I didn't even realize 0 first downs. The Broncos took the ball over 4 times from Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills offense. 6 points, 0 first downs. You better believe it. If the Broncos don't win that game, we're talking about Cortland Sutton's ball control issues. We're talking about Mike McGlinchey's false start. We're talking about the offense not being able to capitalize on these 4 turnovers. Hell, want to talk about running the ball? The Broncos haven't scored a rushing touchdown since week 2. And it was Jaleel McLaughlin, Tom. They rank dead last with 1 rushing touchdown on the season. I love that the Broncos are committed to the run, but for crying out loud, can we get some running backs in the end zone?
Yeah, I actually thought this was going to be Javonte Williams kind of first century mark, get a touchdown type of game, but didn't happen. And like I said, I think the Bills knew that was the game plan, and they really went after the running game, and they've struggled. So kudos to them for doing it. But yeah, there's the running backs. Javonte Williams is just on the verge of finally getting over that kind of mediocre hump from my perspective, but it wasn't that game. And hopefully it comes soon, because they're going to need it. They're going to need that running game. They're going to have to lean on that several times. I mean, against a couple stout defenses, they're going to have to really lean on that running game. So hopefully they can turn it around in Minnesota or even in Cleveland and get it rolling.
Well, and your guy Doug is coming in here saying, I'm calling it now. Browning's going to sack and knock Dobbs out of the game, and we win. That would be great, Doug. They got 0 sacks against Josh Allen. Come on now. I know everybody, right, is loving on the defense, but let's look at where some improvements need to be made. I don't know how many games, Tom. I've been writing about it, and it feels like a handful, at least, in my takeaways immediately after the game over at myhuddle.com, and it's like, 0 sacks, 0 sacks, 0 sacks. Yet the Broncos are winning. They're playing a lot better defensively. But, man, it's tough for me to go there right away, Doug, and just start calling out sacks, because that's something this team is struggling with. William Hayes coming in here, too. He's like, what about Cush and some of those false starts and those penalties? Have to clean it up. Mike McGlinchey is the most penalized Denver Bronco on the team right now. Cush has had a good season, Tom. You really liked him, but not one of his better games.
No.
They got the dub. That's all that matters. They got the dub. There were all kinds of issues. Russell Wilson was not one of them, Tom. He was not one of the problems against the Buffalo Bills. In fact, Russ played very well. He went 24 for 29, 193 yards, 2 tutties, and he also ran the ball a couple of times, right? 9 rushes for 30 yards, a long run of 10 yards with that nice baseball player slide on that turf in Buffalo. Russell Wilson. What do you make of Russell Wilson's performance in Buffalo? The expectations are continuing to rise for Russell Wilson, and a home crowd wants to see a Russell Wilson victory on Sunday night.
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to about how good or bad Russell Wilson is. You can nitpick little things here and there and say, oh, he does this, he does that. Overall, he played okay. I mean, not bad, not terrible, but not great. He's doing the same thing he did in Seattle. He holds the ball too long. fumbles a little bit. And, when he takes off, he can make stuff happen with his feet. And that play, that Sutton catch would not have happened if Russell Wilson wasn't able to scramble around and buy some time and chuck that ball into the end zone. So you got to give him credit. You have to give him credit where credit is due. And you can say that, there are times when he holds the ball too long. He panics a little bit and doesn't get that first quick read and throw it. But that's not Russell Wilson. So if you're happy with the trade, like I said last week, if you're happy with the trade, that's what you're getting. This is what you're getting. You're getting the Seattle Wilson. And the only thing that's not happening is as many deep throws. That's kind of been cut off over the last few weeks. They were doing it early in the season, so I expect it to come back. But yeah, I thought he played fine. I mean, it wasn't great, wasn't bad, but he was a reason for that win. I'll tell you, because that, like I said, that scramble and that pass to Sutton, that wouldn't have happened if Russell Wilson hadn't been able to move around the pocket and then get out of the pocket and throw it.
It's crazy, Tom. The Broncos start the season with 1 win, 1-5. Here they are, 4-5, just 1 win away from 500. In fact, per Pro Football Focus, right before MHI went on the airwaves, they're showing a little graphic, and the Broncos are on it. 18% playoff odds right now.
Wow.
The Raiders are at 15%, and the Chargers are at 22%. So interesting race in the AFC West. The Broncos have to continue those victories if they want to even utter that word postseason.
Yeah.
Right? Get to 500, right? Get to 500, and then your goal should be to be a winning football team. It's one game at a time, but Tom, I didn't think we'd be here November 15th on MHI, just a week away from Thanksgiving, talking about the Broncos winning football. And guys, speaking of Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Make sure to spend time with your friends and your family. Speaking of friends, our friends at Manscaped are good friends of MHH and MHI. So if you're ready to spice up things for your Thanksgiving, make sure that you head on over to Manscaped. As we dive headfirst into the mountains of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce, let's talk about the unsung hero of the holiday season, and that is the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. That's right. It's time to go cold turkey on your old razor and take care of your own turkey leg with that Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Visit manscaped.com. Use code HUDDLE for 20% off and free shipping. Enjoy Thanksgiving in style with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Again, that's manscaped.com. Use our code HUDDLE for 20% off and free shipping. Gobble, gobble.
And plus it's waterproof, so you can groom it. You can do your grooming in the shower, wet or dry, whatever. And let's face it, we all want to look good, want to look our best before carving that turkey, right?
Woo!
Plus, they have an LED spotlight on it, so you don't miss a spot, even in low light situations. And man, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to it. Right, getting all groomed up and ready for the Thanksgiving holiday.
Well, that's just it, man. And holidays are right around the corner too. So if you're looking for a gift for a friend, maybe a partner's, anything like that, head on over to Manscaped. Check out the Manscaped Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra.
And bundle it, right? For men who, go back for seconds, Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle for the man who deserves it all.
Again, that's 20% off, free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. Be thankful this holiday season for the best gift of all from Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. And I'm wanting to thank Broncos country for sticking by this football team, man. This has been a rough season. Things are turning around. I am so glad that this fan base didn't check out because I feel like we were on the verge, Tom. I was sick of writing about the same damn thing every week. So were you. It's so less fun to have these shows, to do what we do, to bring you Broncos content 24/7 at milehighhuddle.com. There's no subscriptions, nothing like that. You don't have to pay for our podcasts either. I mean, we do this because we love it. I love it when the Broncos are winning football games. I love it when my kid can wear orange to school. I love it when the Broncos aren't the laughing stock of the league. I think teams are finally starting to respect this football team after beating the Chiefs at home in Denver and then going to Buffalo on Monday night.
Yeah, and let's face it, it was embarrassing. I mean, that 70-20 loss. I mean, everybody who's keeps talking about we owe Vance Joseph an apology and all that. No, that was embarrassing. There's no apology necessary. Thank you for turning it around. I will give thanks, but that's one of the worst losses in the history.
Do we need to give thanks? Do we need to give thanks? That's the expectation. The expectation, I think, for any NFL defensive coordinator, because you're on to something, Tom, should be to not get blown out by 70 points. That's the floor, okay?
Right. But I will thank him for making some changes and turning around that defense because they are playing tons better. Also, they made some changes that were necessary. So they got Browning back, which is great. They, changed the safety out with PJ Locke. They changed out some corners. That all helped. So that having that kind of ability to make those changes without, sticking to your, we're going to do this the whole way. Cause that would have been a disaster. So that's helped make this more fun. And it is more fun when they're winning. I don't want to sit here and talk about, let's talk about the draft next year already. And we're only in October. Let's talk about I hate doing that. I don't want to do
Caleb Williams, Drake May,
right. So it's way more fun when they're winning, but it's also fun to talk about the way they're winning, right? The special teams. You've got to give your hats off to that return game. The special teams on the Broncos have been so bad for so long, and now all of a sudden you're starting to see the return game coming on. The kickoff is working. I know they had some issues on the kicking game. They missed a extra point and they fumbled the snap and the hold, and it looked bad. I thought, oh boy, this is going to be trouble here, but they ended up getting out there and kicking it through when it actually counted. So you got to talk about special teams being good. And all we have to hope for is that the offense starts to click a little bit better. And then you're going to see a well-rounded team from my perspective. And that's what it takes to win in this league. 3 phases working well. It's not going to work perfect every time, but 3 phases working well is going to win you plenty of football games.
Well, they're getting there slowly but surely, right? It's truly one game at a time over there. Yep. And that's the way that they're taking it. And I think you give credit where credit's due to Sean Payton. Yeah. Sean Payton realized this isn't working. Not only this being the offense, but the team, defense, special teams. I need to try something different. We need to try something different. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pretend I do per source. I'm just saying there's something going on over there that Sean Payton obviously shook up and said, look, I'm committing to my guys. We're not trading you. We're going to start winning football games if we do these things. And I think the team is bought in. And I think this team likes feeling this way. I think this team likes going to the grocery store now, right? I think this team likes celebrating in Buffalo, staying the night on Monday night, flying back on Tuesday, right? These are all enjoyable things. Those are bonding experiences. Now, some of these guys aren't going to be here next year. That's the case every year, right? But you have to live in the moment, especially when these moments are rare and far and few in between. I do feel like Sean Payton deserves some credit right now. I'm not going to go crazy with that credit, right? I mean, again, Sean, you were brought here to get this team to postseason, and they're one win away from 500. It's not good enough right now, so we got to keep it going. I'm excited to see where it goes. Mike Edel coming back, a $10 super. Mike, thank you so much for joining MHI and giving us all kinds of love. Great show, guys. Do you think we will have any edge in the pass rush because we know Dalton Reisner? Pastor Tan on Justin Jefferson? Also, does Vance Joseph know about Dobbs? I absolutely love the show. Mike, we absolutely love you, man. Thank you so much for the kind words. And let's leave this up for just a second, Scott. There's a lot we got to get to in here. Pass rush has been driving me absolutely crazy because it's been so inconsistent. This edge unit needs to get some strength on it next season. I think these guys, you've got more finesse guys right now than you do absolute strength, and that's what Randy Gregory was supposed to be, right? Yeah. That's what Frank Clark was supposed to be, even a veteran guy. We don't have that here, and you can tell the cupboard is pretty bare. When it comes to PS2 on Justin Jefferson, man, that should be a good matchup. It was interesting to see how they use PS2, they being Vance Joseph and Sean Payton, following the tight end, Dalton Kincaid last week, right? Wherever that offensive threat is, Pat Surtain is. He doesn't just lock down one side of the field. He doesn't lock down one receiver. I love that they use that versatility of him. But what do you think about Dalton Reisner? Dalton Reisner making his return to Denver, Tom.
Yeah. Well,
Risner,
yeah,
Dalton
I mean,
Risner, as you used to call him. I should
yeah,
have said
Risner.
Risner.
I don't know, man. He might have a little extra edge on him, but I think Zach Allen has been playing incredibly well. He hasn't got a ton of sacks. That's the big eye popping thing.
He's
But
playing much better.
The first couple weeks, I was like, this is a huge disappointment, a huge money waste of a signing. But he has really come on, and if he slips over to and faces Reisner, not Risner, but Reisner, I think he's gonna have his way with him. I really do. I'm not big on Dalton Reisner. And as far as VJ knowing Josh Dobbs, I don't know why he would. I don't think he's ever been a coach.
Arizona, because he was in Arizona probably for this last spell, but
no, didn't he get traded?
No,
Arizona?
you're right. He was just in Arizona. Arizona had dealt him. Arizona had dealt him to Minnesota because I think he was with a couple teams last year. He bounces around. Look at 27. He was a 2017
traded to the Cardinals this season. So he was at Pitt and Tennessee before
so
that.
Him.
So yeah. So I don't know if he has any intel or not. I doubt it, but I mean they can watch film, so they'll know something. But I don't think he has any secrets inside information.
I'm not scared of Josh Dobbs. All right. No. Like, I'm not scared of Josh Dobbs, but that also doesn't mean two things can be true at the same time, right? My guy ZB loves to say that. So got to give him credit, right? He didn't coin it, but always got to give him credit. Two things can be true at the same time. I'm not afraid of Josh Dobbs in the Vikings offense, but I'm not confident in the pass rush of Denver's defense. That's an issue. I love the turnovers. Wonky things happen, right? Tipped balls, interceptions, things like that. The Vikings put the ball on the ground a lot. Josh Dobbs in particular. He's fumbled 11 times in 10 games playing for the Cardinals and the Vikings, in addition to throwing 5 interceptions. Now, Minnesota as a whole, they fumbled 17 times, losing 12 of them. So they coughed the football up a lot. That's why we need the pass rush back there. I'm thinking strip sack. I'm thinking turnover. I'm thinking big play, safety. We need those kind of plays. To Josh Dobbs' credit, he's 2-0 as the Vikings starter, right? He's also become the first player in NFL history, Tom, to amass 400 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, and no interceptions in his first 2 games with a team. Yeah. Homeboy doesn't even know his guys' names. Tom, he's out there. I'm like, I don't know. I know who Justin Jefferson is. We can throw it that way. Josh Dobbs, I give him credit. He doesn't scare me, but maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's unsuspecting. Maybe he's the underdog, just like the Broncos, right? Nobody's respecting him. I'm sitting here. I'm like, yeah, Josh Dobbs fumbles a lot. He's winning games.
Yeah. Well, so is Russell Wilson. He's fumbling a lot and winning games too now, but he hasn't fumbled. He didn't fumble this last game, but no, that's the thing. The Broncos, I don't think they're at the point where they're going to be like, oh, we don't have to respect this team anymore. They're not. They're still under 500. They still have a long way to go, and if they start to get cocky now, they're in trouble. If they're 8-5, then they can maybe start getting a little cocky and thinking they can beat, not overlook somebody, but I don't think they will. Now,
no, and this team's not going to blow out anybody this year. This Broncos team is not going to have, I don't think, a double-digit win this season.
No, I don't. Well, you never know. They
might. They can't even 6 points on 4 turnovers, Tom. 0 first downs.
I don't know.
God, we'll see. You did it again, Tom.
I think their offense
yelling
is
at
you, picking it up a little bit. But I will tell you, man. Josh Dobbs, that's a good story. I mean, it's kind of cool. But when they're playing the Broncos, I hope he has a terrible game. So just the way it is.
Me too. And right, I'm a Josh Allen guy. I put my Wyoming stuff away on Monday night. Gina Cooper coming in. Always glad to see you guys and MHH in here when the Broncos are winning. Yeah, Gina, we appreciate that. It makes life so much easier. It's fun to be at the water cooler at work or go out to dinner with some friends or make plans with your family over the Broncos game. That's what got me into it, right? Sitting there with my family watching it. It was the event of the week. Hasn't been like that for a long time, Tom. I mean, we work it. So while everybody else is drinking beer and eating, you and I are sitting there taking notes, and we're writing our articles for milehighhuddle.com, where you can catch those articles as soon as the game is over. Look, man, I love it. I'm not going to apologize for any of it. I'm going to stick by my statement that Russell Wilson is not the quarterback of the future for the Denver Broncos. Now, what's the future? That's 2024 for me. I do think that the Broncos are probably going to move on from him. How easy would it be I screwed that up. How easy would it be, Tom, to move on from a winning quarterback like Russell Wilson? Could you entice some teams? Could you try to dupe some teams into that contract? That's what I'm starting to wonder right now. I love winning. Don't get me wrong. But playoffs in this team, man, that's a long ways away.
Well, I want to wait to see what happens the rest of the season before I make that decision. But I think Russell Wilson's around for 2 more years before they dump him. They're going to find his replacement. They're going to bring him in, but you're not going to see him gone until 2025. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. He's going to be around. They've got too much money invested in him. If he's winning and playing well, and he has been playing well. I know he's had his mistakes. He's been playing like he played in Seattle, just what they traded for. I don't know why they gave him the huge contract, but they did. They are stuck with him for a while because the problem I have with it is if you try and get rid of him, you still got a dead cap hit. You're not going to get a benefit of having a young rookie quarterback on that rookie deal for the same length of time as it takes to kind of rebuild the team. And then you have a lot of holes. So you got to rebuild those holes. It's a lot harder. And it's hard to, how do you do that when you say Russell Wilson is playing well and obviously has been a factor in that win in Buffalo? I know he made his mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to defend, make sure he's perfect, but they don't win that game if he doesn't scramble out there and throw that ball to Sutton. Now, Sutton made a great catch. Don't get me wrong. It was a hard catch to make.
They don't win that. They don't win that game unless Buffalo has 12 men on the field, Tom. That's true. That's where it really is.
That wouldn't have been a problem had they not been able to convert. That was 4th down. And
let's talk about all their misgivings. What about the PAT specialty? I mean, you're exactly right, though, right? You're right. Russ played a very good game. He's playing inspired football right now. He looks like he's having fun to me. He doesn't look like he's panicking so much. And you've been on this for a few weeks now, saying that Russ is playing like Seattle Russ, not necessarily like I'm going to scramble for 10 seconds every 3rd down and go get a first down with my legs. He can do that. We are seeing some of it, but what I mean is he's being a game manager a little bit more than trying to be the hero, and that works. That's part of the offensive game plan. That shows me that he respects Sean Payton and he's bought into what Sean Payton's doing with him, running the ball, committing to running the ball. I mean, against the Bills, 38 rushes, 122 yards. That's a commitment to running the ball. Against the Kansas City Chiefs, 40 rushes for 153 yards. Green Bay, 25 rushes. So it's only gone up, really, when you look at the rush attempts. And some of those are off-platform and off-scheduled plays, right? Russ needs to get out of there. But this brand of servant leadership that Russ is offering this football team, I think is very commendable, and I respect him a lot for that. When we were out there at training camp this last year, Tom, I said in one of my articles in my training camp journals that Russ is finally one of the guys. He's not above the guys. Well, right now, I think he's playing very good football. He's being a very good teammate, and he's comfortable in his own skin right now. It doesn't matter who won the game for the Broncos. This is a team sport, the last I checked, and every single one of those guys had their flaws against the Buffalo Bills, but it doesn't matter when you win as a team.
And I said that in my article. I said, I could have written a bunch of duds in there because they did mess up, but they also did just enough to win. And that's what it takes in the NFL. The Broncos were not doing just enough to win before. They haven't done just enough to win in a long time. Now they did. Give them credit. And another thing I'll say about Russell Wilson, the reason why people want to move off from Russell Wilson is because he's an expensive quarterback. You know how many cheap quarterbacks are out there? Plenty. You can find a cheap quarterback anywhere. That doesn't mean they're any good. It's very, very hard to find a cheap really good quarterback that you can build a team around. It's very hard. Look at the teams that have drafted early quarterbacks. How many are still looking for a quarterback at this stage? It's not an easy thing to do.
Justin Fields, Tom. The Broncos should have taken Justin Fields. Head on over to @Luke Patterson LP on Twitter. You can see Nick Kendall and I fight about that. We've been fighting over it for years, and we're going to continue to fight about it. And Nick brings up a good point, right? Nick's a good friend, so we love to razz each other. His point is, until you have that guy, you need to be willing to take a chance to go get him. And I agree with that too. I don't think it has to be one way or the other. Now, once you fall in love with a guy, once you know, right? So revisionist history. Mike Edel again, man. Mike, thank you so much. You've been super active tonight. I need this win, fellas, living in Minnesota. Go MHH. Yeah, go Mike, man. Repping that orange in Minnesota. The Vikings and the Broncos have a rich history, and not to spoil your show or anything for Friday morning, Tom, on Legends, but it looks like the Vikings are 8-7 against the Broncos all time. So it's a close matchup in recent history. It looks like the Broncos and the Vikings played on 11/17 of 2019. Minnesota at Denver. Denver won that game 27-23 was the last time these two teams met. Before that, I remember when the Minnesota Vikings came to town on October 4th, 2015, and some guy named Peyton Manning, the sheriff, was playing in that game, a magical Super Bowl year. Mike, we're pulling for you, man. It's awesome to see Broncos country repping behind enemy lines. Let's get to James here. James, I see you. Hey, Luke, what do you say for yourself bashing the team last week, saying they wasn't for real? They are for real and playoff bound. James, what do I say? I've been saying it the whole show. I'm pumped that they won, man. I'm pumped that I'm wrong in pick'em. I'm pumped that I've been wrong the last 3 weeks. I don't know who to pick this week. I wear that, but to suggest that this team is without flaw, or to suggest that that game couldn't have been won by the Buffalo Bills, is foolish. This team is full of flaws. I just got done talking about they've got one rushing touchdown, James, one the entire year. And we're sitting here talking about them like they're the best team ever. 4 turnovers, 6 points they've capitalized on in 4 turnovers. That's an issue. 0 sacks, James. Man, that's an issue. How are you going to be a playoff team with some of those things, Tom? They're far away, right? So we got to take it a game at a time. James, I absolutely love it because we're about accountability on this show, man. So I appreciate you tuning in to MHI and keeping me accountable. Sometimes I get ornery. Sometimes I need to get put in check.
I was bashing the team too, man. You can't have seen the first 5 or 6 weeks and not be down on what was going on. Now that they've turned it around, it's not that we're turning, pretending like we liked them all along. We didn't. Right. They were a terrible team. But now they have done some things that we have picked up on and said, this is starting to look like a better team. And I have probably more optimism for the playoffs than you do. And that's because I already shot my mouth off and said that if they beat those 2 teams in a row, they're going to the playoffs. I may live to eat my words, but I'll stick behind
I don't know. That's a rallying cry. I mean, like 3 primetime games, wins against the Chiefs and the Bills. If you'd have told me that in week 2, no way. In week 3, no way after that Dolphins debacle. So I think we're well within our right to stand by some claims, but we also reserve the right to change our minds. Last time I checked, right? I mean, that's just it. Sure. That's why this team is so intriguing, and that's why the debate wages on. Whether that be on social media, whether Tom and I are screaming at each other on Wednesday nights, it's because we're not sure what we're seeing, right? So we're feeling good in some areas, and other areas you're feeling a little insecure, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. But when you put both of them together, the negative, the positive, what does it make? Exciting. This is exciting right now. It's an exciting time. The holiday seasons are here. The Broncos are winning football games. They're relevant. I mean, good Lord. Sometimes in this crazy world, we just need to take some of the positive. Broncos winning 3 games. I'm here for it, baby.
Well, and that's what I said too. Like right after the game, I was like, because I talked about this leading up to it. I said, we'll know more about this team when they go into Buffalo. But at the same time, they kind of we don't know as much as I thought we were going to know, because now don't get me wrong. They created several turnovers. but they was also gifted that turnover when,
Yeah.
when Josh Allen for some reason decided not to hand the ball off correctly. I don't know. The 12 men on the field, there were a lot of drops. So at the same time, it's hard to understand what this team really is. But I will tell you one thing. Their special teams is really a solid unit overall, which is good. Their defense is starting to come around. They have some problems with the running game for sure. They have some issues. They need to get more pressure. Their offense has kind of declined, but I will argue that was the game plan. Like, they didn't want to open it up because they were playing it more safe. Like you said, game management type, but you're going to see them open it up. But the biggest thing that gives me hope right now is the lack of injuries, right? Because going into Buffalo, they were very healthy. They had some people on IR, don't get me wrong, but that's the thing. When you go,
two guys that were full participants,
right?
You're exactly right. They were completely healthy. I mean, two guys. It was Ben Powers and Baron Browning, I think, and they were both full participants at practice. And they brought that up at the telecast. Just to your point, I mean, this offensive line, all 5 starters.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that health and there's only a couple starters that are on IR. There's 3 people that can come off of IR at any time almost really. So what I'm saying is the talent, when people start to get injured, the talent starts to even out. If you're healthy, that's why you can continue to start winning late into the year, because the talent is depleted on some of the teams you're facing, and you're healthy, your talent is still there. So if you were lacking talent in week 1, week 2, and week 3, well, now it's starting to even out a little bit. Because you're facing a team like the Buffalo Bills had like several starters out. Had those players been in, I don't know if they would have won that game. Maybe they would have. I don't know, but that evens out. So that's what gives me the most hope. If they can continue to stay healthy, they're going to win games that you didn't expect them to win. Look at Cleveland. They just lost their starting quarterback, right? That's a big loss. Now, does that make when I looked at the schedule even before Buffalo, I thought that Cleveland game is probably going to be a tough one to win. I don't know if they can do it. That now, I think they can win it because they're throwing in, it's probably going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I think he threw 3 or 4 picks in a game when he was starting. So I mean, that evens out. That's why I have hope. That's why I think that my shooting my mouth off is still viable if they can stay healthy.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. Health's a big part of it too. And then just knowing your role and being okay in that role. Again, I think we both are okay with Russell Wilson, the game manager. It wins football games. It won him a Super Bowl. Isn't that what a quarterback should be? I don't understand why. Since when did being a game manager become an insult too? I see that argument out there on social media. Like, oh, he's just a game manager. Do you know how many teams would kill for a game manager to have somebody that understands the ins and outs? How refreshing is it? Let's just go back to a few weeks ago, when the Broncos were losing games, when the Broncos couldn't get out of a huddle, when there were delay of games over and over and over. Now, they got really close a few different times. Maybe they even got one against Buffalo. I can't remember right now.
I think
Tom.
they did. I think
they got one.
They had to call a timeout because they were getting
okay.
But I would say that
Russ has been very aware of that, and that has been cleaned up. That's a huge testament to Russ. But you want to talk about speed and getting guys on the field, you just got done talking about special teams, baby. How about having that special teams unit ready to go? I mean, these are little things where guys are embracing their roles. Like, I'm not going to be pissed off just because I'm a special teams guy. It's like, no, this is my team needs me right now. I'm here, leaving my ego aside, and we're going to go. And I absolutely love it. Nobody's playing hero ball, and they're winning games because of it. Now, Russell Wilson, when you do look at it, he ranks 1st in touchdown percentage, 4th in passer rating, 3rd in touchdown passes. He's thrown 18 touchdown passes, already eclipsing, as the telecast mentioned on Monday night, his 16 total touchdowns from last year. But he's not doing it just being a world beater. And that's what our friend Zach Powers said earlier, just a couple of minutes ago in the chat. He's not doing it by going yard and throwing like 6 touchdowns. In fact, he hasn't thrown 200-yard passing the last 3 weeks, 29 attempts. That's the most. Russ isn't being handcuffed. He's being asked to execute the game plan. And I'm okay with that. Folks should be too.
And you know what else is very intriguing to me, I guess I should say going forward, is there a lot of little things that have changed. In fact, they were talking about Russell Wilson was kneeling when he was in the huddle, And Sean Payton had him stand to be that much quicker so they can make sure that they're not. I mean, those are little things that you have to pay attention to. And if it's a bunch of little things that they're fixing, then the big things are going to start happening, right? That's what the saying is. You take care of those little things, then the big things you don't have to worry about because they're already, you've taken care of them with all the little things. So that to me is intriguing as well. Now, I still, after watching the first 5 weeks of the season, and still like that, it's still in my mind. It's hard for me to be like, okay, I'm bought in 100%. But let's see what they do against the Vikings. Let's see what they do against Cleveland. And then, we may be talking about a completely different team in 2 weeks.
It's almost like you're a little kid and you had a nightmare and you still wonder if the monster's under the bed, right? Yes, that's where we're at right now with this Broncos football team. You're trying to figure out, like, mom and dad just came and tucked you in, right? Maybe big brother, big sister, whoever. You got all settled. Oh, phew. That was the last 3 wins in prime time.
Right.
Now, mom and dad left. And we're wondering, is it still dark? Is it still scary in here? Or is it not so bad and we could continue to enjoy ourselves? Just like we enjoy ourselves every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain here on MHI. Gina Cooper weighing in, $9.99 Super. We got a lot of Ginas and Mikes in here tonight. That's cool, man. We've had doppelgangers and same names, and I love it. Definitely exciting. I mean, heck, just look at the standings across the NFL with the AFC and the NFC playoff picture. It's definitely exciting football season. And Gina Cooper's been looking at the stats. I could tell. Gina saw that 18% playoff odd that the Denver Broncos are in. There's a PFF focus over on X, social media, whatever I got to call it. The Chargers are coming in at 22%, the Broncos at 18%, and the Raiders still have that chance, hovering at 15%. Again, the Raiders have that win over the Broncos. Broncos hope to get some get back against the Silver and Black, but Tom, I think Gina's right here. She has tons of reason, as does Broncos country, to be excited right now. Crazier things have happened, not only in the world, but in the NFL as well. Teams have run the table. Yeah. I'm happy, man. Gina's happy. Broncos country's happy. What say you? Should this fan base be excited right now, or should we all be afraid of the monster under the bed?
We should be excited because it's been a long time since we could be. That just have some fun. We're winning. Have some fun. But here's the thing. You're right, Gina. I think 9-8 gets the 7th seed this year. The problem is a 9-8 Denver Broncos team is going to need a little bit of help to get in because of what happened early in the season. 10-7 is I think it's guaranteed playoff spot. Maybe not. You're not going to win the division, but you're going to get it at 10-7. But I think 9-8 is getting a team in the playoffs this year. Maybe 2 teams, because think about it. The Broncos are under 500. They win 2 games. They could be the 7th seed depending on how things flow, right? I mean, it's 6-5. They could be the 7th seed in 2 weeks. So it's not that big of a gap between where they are right now, which is 14th, to getting to that 7th seed. And I think they could. That's 4. They have to win 5. They have to win 5 games over this 8. You have to go 5-3. And they can get in the playoffs at 9-8. They need help. I think they'll need some help, but they could do it. And that's, I mean, the way they're playing,
I love it.
5-3 doesn't seem unrealistic. It doesn't.
No, not at all. And 5-3. I like it, Tom. Broncos country, put that down. 5-3, right? You want to win them all. But when you eventually sustain another loss, which the Broncos will, I'm not going to say probably, they will. They're not going to win outright. That's too big a task, and they have too many flaws. But, Gina, keep that optimism and keep rocking with us every Wednesday night on MHH and MHI. We appreciate all of y'all. Jasmine, what is up? Jasmine's been doing some traveling. A very generous $9.99 Super. I saw Jasmine on X or social media the other day, and when her and her husband were traveling, they didn't have means of watching the game or radio or anything like that. Mile High Huddle had Jasmine's back. If you head on over to @Mile High Huddle on X every game day, the game's being transcribed in real live time, the major plays, keeping you up to date. So again, if you can't, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. If you can't just listen to a pod, if you can't tune up the radio or the TV, head on over to @Mile High Huddle. We really appreciate the support, Jasmine. Hopefully you and your family are doing well during this Thanksgiving time. Again, we're about 1 week away from Thanksgiving. Time is absolutely flying, and I guess it goes a little quicker when you're having fun. Tom, right? That's the old expression. Time flies when you're having fun. Winning's fun because when the Broncos were losing games, it felt like September was just dragging on and on. I couldn't wait to get to the trade deadline.
Yes.
Now, the Broncos, after the trade deadline, go out in Buffalo. They do what they got to do. They're coming back. Sunday Night Football, man. It's exciting to have the Broncos back on TV. I think the Broncos are one of those historic franchises that when they do well, the rest of the NFL does well, and the NFL enjoys the Broncos' success.
Well, here's the reason why we all should be excited over this holiday weekend, especially if the Broncos win on this Sunday. 4 weeks ago, would you or anybody in this chat had been talking, even David McGilrath, who was 12-4 all the way.
Yeah, it was like David. David would have
6-11, right? But now we're talking the playoffs. Whether they make it or not, that doesn't matter, right? We are right now talking that there is a potential for them to go to the playoffs. That is exciting. Embrace it right now. Have fun with this team. If they don't make it, they don't make it. But right now, it's time to have fun. If they start losing, then we can be miserable again. But let's be fun while we can.
Let's be fun. Let's keep having fun. We got 2 Dougs in here too, by the way. So we got like 6 Mikes. We've got 2 Ginas. We got 2 Dougs in here. Todd, I wonder if we got 6 Todds in here. I wanted to read Douglas Wall's comment. Thank you for tuning in on MHI, Doug. Luke, would you shave your head if the Broncos win out the rest of the season? You're damn right. Not only would I do that, I would shave this beard too. I haven't shaved my beard. I've been growing a beard probably. I was talking to my wife. It was the only New Year's resolution I've ever really kept. And it was like 9 years ago. So coming up on a decade, right? I haven't had a clean face. So yeah, absolutely. I would do that. Let's make that a fun little bet, Doug, for sure. Mark it down November 15th here on MHI. I absolutely Luke Patterson, shave my head and my beard if the Broncos win out the rest of the season. Do have some long hair under this cap too, so some people would probably be okay with it. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. We're in our final little segment right now here on MHI, where you can catch Tom and I every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain. Tom, I'm not gonna put you on the spot right away because I know you've got Legends on Friday morning, and then you've got OBV with Ron White on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. But how are we feeling about the Vikings game? I'll be completely honest. I've got mixed feelings. I can't remember the last time I picked the Broncos to win. I have to go back and search in our Slack app and our team communications for Mile High Huddle. I mean, I'm really leaning towards a Broncos victory, especially at home. This is where Mile High magic happens. When the fan base is back into it, they're checked in. You get those goosebumps at the stadium. It's Sunday Night Football. I mean, I think the stage is going to be grand. I think that players are going to show up for it. I'm feeling really optimistic right now about the Denver Broncos beating the Minnesota Vikings.
I am too. I still, we still have, like you said, that monster in the closet. Are they gonna come out and lay a stinker at home? But the way they've been playing, it's hard not to pick them. I mean, it really is. I mean, they have won 2 really good games. Now, they didn't look great against the Bills, but they won it. They kicked the crap out of the Chiefs. I'm gonna keep talking about that until they don't beat them again. They whipped the Chiefs.
All right.
With the Vikings coming in, I think a renewed energy in the stadium. You got the crowd. I think people are going to be, there's going to be a lot of Broncos fans yelling. I think it's going to be tough for Dobbs to work his magic like he has the last couple of weeks. Just coming in and doing it. Yeah, I'm going to go. I've been picking them to lose, and I don't want to ruin that streak, because I'd rather be wrong every week and have the Broncos win. But yeah, I think I'm going to pick them to win just because I think they can at this point. I think they really can win.
Well, and stay tuned, right? You have until Friday, Broncos Country. Every Friday, Chad releases our MHH staff pick'em, if you will. Tom, are you still on top right now? Are you still winning that? I've been bragging on you for weeks now, and now I actually got to check it.
I think I'm tied with somebody right now. I think I'm tied. I think because I can't remember if I picked the Packers game. I think that's what I wasn't totally negative the whole time. So I picked them to win against the Packers, I think. But yeah, I have not picked them to win the last 2 weeks. So I'm falling back to the pack, which is fine. I'd rather be wrong. I'd rather
check out our check out our picks on Friday. That'll be at milehighhuddle.com. Your by the numbers for this week's opponent, the Minnesota Vikings, will also be up by the end of the week. And my keys to victory against the Minnesota Vikings, I turned those in today. Those will be up at the end of the week as well. Mike S., great show. Luke, Thomas, and the chat, man. The chat brought the fire tonight, man. We had so many Dougs and Mikes and Ginas, but overall, we had optimism, man. We had so much optimism. We have folks cooking dinner. Michaela Israel, she's like, "Great show, guys. I'm listening while cooking." Shout out to you and Cooper. No, man, this is good for our health, man. The Broncos winning football games is good for our soul. It's good for the economy. It's good for us here at MHH, man. This is what we do. This is why we love the Broncos. The Broncos haven't always been a bad football team. They have much more hardware and respect historically than many franchises would ever hope to get. We have to remember that in the grand scheme of things, but it's even easier to remember your Bronco pride when they are winning. I am picking the Broncos. I'm just going to do it right now. I don't have a score, but I'm picking the Broncos over the Vikings. Stay tuned on Friday for my official score. I'm in on the Broncos this week. So
yes.
I don't know. But here's my problem. When the Broncos are hot, the CU Buffs are not. I don't know what's going on up there, Coach Prime. We got to figure this out in the finale, baby, because I can't be having these teams flip-flop like that. It was a super fun show, guys. Thank you so much. This hour goes by so damn quick. Head on over to social media on X and reach out to Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you'd like to reach out to Tom, that's at Thomas Hall NFL. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. We would greatly appreciate a follow as well. Head on over to the mothership on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. Again, head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Check out all of our up to the minute news analysis and articles. Head on over to mhhmerch.com. Get your swag on. Grab yourself an MHI hat. There's also tons of swag to grab for gifts, right? The holiday season's here, so make sure you're doing that. We appreciate all of our Facebook listeners and audience over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Leave us a review wherever you get these podcasts as well. We do go through these. We want to improve. We want to make sure we continue to bring you guys all of your Broncos coverage. Tom, this is fun, man. Let's keep it going, baby. I want to come in here next week, the day before Thanksgiving, talking about 4 games in a row against those damn Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, me as well. And I want to see a little bit of Mile High magic come back, right? Because I remember in the early 90s, it was the Minnesota Vikings in Mile High Stadium, and it was a wide open receiver, caught the ball, running down the field, trips over his own feet or over the turf or something, and the Broncos ended up winning by 3 points. It was nuts. It was I want to see that back. I want to see the old Mile High. This is the game. I hope there's a little old Mile High magic come back. But yeah, you're right. I'm having a lot of fun. This has been always a fun show, but it's more fun when the Broncos are winning. So there you go.
Yeah, let's keep it going, Broncos country. Be good to each other out there. Keep the debates going on, and let's stay united in orange. Broncos country, this is the winning way.
This is the way.